My fans. I got a good one today. He's not a Mountaineer, but he could have been a Mountaineer, and he'll tell you the reasons as to why he didn't commit to West Virginia, which you'll find surprising. I got none other than Mr. Do-It-All, as I call him. Dwayne Williams played at Bayonne High School and decided to take his talents to the University of Iowa. And he was a tremendous high school football player out of the state of New Jersey. I got him to come on my show. So I'm going to interview him. My man, here's Dwayne Williams. My man. First off, my brother, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to jump on here, man.
All right.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
That's what's up. Listen, I know you humble. I know you're humble. So I'm going to tread lightly with some of the things I'm going to ask you because I already know you don't like talking about yourself. But just to give the parents and these young people an understanding, I know, obviously, and I'm going to use the word great. I don't give the word great up too often, but I got to give the word great up to you because the type of career that you had, all from Pop Warner or Little League through high school through college, what did it take for you to get to Iowa? What did it take? Because I already know what you did in high school. Bayonne was phenomenal. So what did it take for you to get to Iowa?
Hard work, preparation, determination, wanting to be the best I can be. As we're young, we watch TV, seen a lot of my friends play like Richie Demler, and a lot of my guys from Bayonne play Richie Glover. A lot of guys play on TV. So, that set the tone. They set the bar for me, it was on from there.
Right. It's so funny, man. Me coming from Jersey City and watching, I had a chance, obviously, to peep, how great you were in high school. And Dwayne, let me tell you something, man. There wasn't too many that did it like you. So the blessing was, I guess, looking at your career and seeing a person like yourself coming from New Jersey, doing the things that you were doing to get a D1 scholarship. A lot of people back then in that era didn't understand. That's why I asked that question, what it took. You can be as great as you want to be in Little League and Pop Warner and all that stuff, but if you don't have the other stuff to go along with it, you don't get those opportunities. So
right.
You picking Iowa, what was it about Iowa that you made the decision to go there?
Well, the confidence, number one, you have to have confidence in that. See, one thing about Iowa, when I chose Iowa, my ego was off the chart at the high school, So when I chose Iowa, Ed Podolak was the all-time leading rusher. He had like 1,900 yards rushing. So, right there, my antenna went up. I'm about to break this in 2 years, know? So right. That was one of the main things. And then the other thing was like, when I went to Iowa, we got snowed in. Me, Bobby Stoops, Andre Tippett, Lou King, Mel Cole, Reggie Roby, all of us got snowed in. Now, my thing was to go to Tennessee because I was a big Tony Dorsett fan. And Johnny Majors just made the change from Pittsburgh to Tennessee. So I'm like, I'm about to go down to Tennessee, see Tony, and, because I was at Pittsburgh already. So I'm like, okay, this is on, but when we got snowed in at Iowa, one of the biggest things that came to all of our mind was like, they had 19, 20 years of losing seasons. So, right. so we thought about that. So all of us to a man said that if all these other schools are recruiting us, why can't we stay here and turn this program around? And that's what got us all there, and we turned it around.
Right, man. Listen, those Hawkeye teams were some great teams.
Right.
Malcolm Christie was my host when I visited Iowa, okay. And Malcolm, of course, was from Dickinson High School, the big offensive tackle.
Right.
And I'll never forget for those who don't really understand the type of facilities that Iowa had, it's even more so now, but back then it was off the chain.
Right.
There was something special, like you said, about that place. And it's easy to see why someone would pick the University of Iowa. Great academic school, great football tradition. And you being there at the time, which was interesting to me, it was almost like Iowa had a pipeline into New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I want to know, did that have a lot to do with when you guys decided to go as a collective and said, you know, we're gonna go turn this program around? Were you reaching back and telling, listen, I'm here, y'all need to come, you know what I mean? Some of the younger cats, y'all need to come with me.
I think it was like, that old saying, I can show you better than I can tell you type of thing. Right. And see, and that's what, we didn't make no noise yet. Remember, it was the big 2 little 8. So we was part of that little 8, so, I can come home and say what I want to say until we make that noise. And then we started making that noise, so then a lot of other people started coming in, like Richard Pryor, the Dana Hughes, Devon Mitchell, Owen Gill, Ronnie Harmon, Kevin Harmon, right. All those other guys from New Jersey that came, from New Jersey and New York, they followed. That black and gold, that's that Pittsburgh Steelers color, So, Hayden Fry told us when he first got there, we might not be playing good, but we're going to look good.
Right. Yeah. I remember Ronnie and his brother. That was my time when I visited. Right. I think they were sophomores or maybe juniors. Mm-hmm. But what a great, segue into this. You've coached and really was impactful for a lot of young people. And D, I'm more ingratiated to you for that as well, because you never stopped reaching back and helping the youth.
No.
What are some of the things through your career of coaching and a lot of players you helped get to the next level? Did you use, obviously, your playing days as an example in the blueprint to really help them? So what gave you that spirit, that heart to do that?
You remember Bill Perkins, who was the lawyer. Okay, he went to Iowa too. He played in the Rose Bowl in 1960. And he was one of the biggest influences in my life, that got me to Iowa. And one thing he said to me that stuck so vividly in my mind until today: what I'm doing for you, I want you to give back also. So I want you to give back, which what I'm giving to you, I need for you to continue giving that back, to continue this thing to keep going forward. And that's one of the things I did. But Gene, before I even get on to that, I need to let you know, see, I got recruited by the University of West Virginia. Coach Sigonetti was the head coach at the time. Okay. Yeah. Now, the guy who came to recruit me was Nick Saban. All right. Nick was the defensive back coach at the time. And so he came up to New Jersey. So this is a little story. Like, I never knew Nick was going to be Nick, who he was. But what a great recruiter he was. So when he came to West Virginia, when he came and got me and Luke King to go take that trip to West Virginia, he told us, remember they had that thing that goes across the campus?
PRT. The PRT.
Okay. So I got on top of that. And so I'm looking down. I says, Nick, you just lost me, buddy. I'm scared of heights.
Wow.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I had to just throw that in there, But in saying that, Coach Mr. Perkins is the one who says, give back. He says, if you don't give back, you never go forward. So that was one of my biggest things. That was the biggest thing, the biggest words that ever stuck to me for all my life. He did that.
Wow. That's important, man. And see, that's what I mean. Like, a lot of people don't, well, some of them do. I'm not going to say a lot of people don't know how talent rich the state of New Jersey really is.
Right.
And that's why this interview was so important for me, because I want to reach back and say, listen, man, we have some legends. Yeah, we have some legends. And talking to you, yeah, you are a legend. You really paved the way for a lot of us to look up to you to say, listen, we want to do what Dwayne Williams is doing. This man paved the way, and you never stop. That's the thing. All these years, man, I remember when you and I reconnected, when you came back to Jersey, you were always the same, D. And I love you and I appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
Because even with my son, yo, Gene, what do you need?
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of spirit, man, we need more of that. And that's why when I do this show, I love for the parents and for the young people to see who I bring on so they can kind of learn something. The give
Right.
back is real. It's important.
Very.
What would you tell a young person right now? I mean, I know you're following what's going on in recruiting and this social media thing and the NILs and all this kind of stuff. What would you tell a young person now, D, that's being recruited?
Pray, number one, pray on it, and make sure it's the right fit.
Right.
I mean, it has to be the right fit. You know, everybody don't have to wear Nikes to perform, and that was my biggest thing about going to Iowa, you have these young guys have to understand that if you don't believe in yourself and make sure that you believe in yourself and where you're going, make sure that's the perfect fit for you. Because as you know, Gene, a lot of guys go to schools and get caught up there and didn't want to leave. That poor, we want to get out of there because we was told one thing and then something else is given to us. I'll give you a small example. When I went to Iowa, one thing Bernie White and Coach Fry said, you're going to be a running back. You know, you're going to play running back. See, now a couple of other schools wanted me to play defensive back. But,
Right.
I'm a Tony Dorsett fan. So I'm like, Iowa, you got 1,900 yards rushings all the time. I'm trying to do some things. I'm trying to get to this Rose Bowl. I'm trying to set the tone, and open up something for the younger people back in New Jersey to understand that Iowa is a place for us to come to. And,
Right.
unfortunately, I got hurt in my second year after I was a true starter as a redshirt freshman and was leading the nation in kickoff and punt returns. Then I blew my shoulder out. Back then, they didn't have the technology that they have now. So they had to pull my ligaments and staple something in my shoulder. But that didn't stop me from working with Ronnie, Owen Gill, and all those guys to learn the system in Iowa. I can remember a couple of times before our quest to the Rose Bowl, I was sitting on my helmet because I just got released to play again. And I was looking down the other side of the field because, you had Andre Tippett, Mel Cole, Lou King. We had one of the best defenses in the country, like the number 4 or 5, not the number 10 defense in the country. So we're getting prepared to play Ohio State, the Michigan. So I'm looking down the field and I just got released. And I'm looking at, you see all the incoming freshmen down, they scared, So so I says, look, Coach Snyder, let me go down here and get tipping and ready because it's a team sport. We all know it's a team sport. So what I used to do is just go down there and get those guys ready, Bobby Stoops, Tippett, and Lou and them, to get ready to prepare for the next game. So sometimes, people don't look at the inner part of your program as a team sport. See, now I could have very easily been selfish and said, no, I'm just waiting for my time and I'm just go down here and get my shoulder gets right. I'm going to go play this game. But nah, it took more than that for us to get to the Rose Bowl. It took it took for someone to go down there and give Andre and those guys some work. So we're playing against Butch Wolfo. We're playing against the Marcus Allens. We're playing against, you know how it goes. Every game is a big star. There's a running back there that's going to be that dude. So I had to emulate them, but like what I did was instead of emulating them, I was just being me, And so me being me kind of got us better and better and better and better and better. So, so people ask me a lot, it was a bittersweet thing because it's kind of hard to bite that pill when you got Ronnie Harmon and guys like that ahead of you. It's kind of hard to bite that pill, but I also know that it's a team sport, and I could have been bitter. I could have did a lot of those things, but that wasn't who I was. And that's the part of giving back. That's the part of the giving back, which Bill Perkins says, I mean, as you all know, at the end of the day, we all got a dream. That dream is that NFL paycheck, Now, at the end of the day, Coach Fry and them tried to get me to do free agent deals and stuff like that. But I wasn't ready for that. I didn't want that. I knew there was a bigger calling for me. And that bigger calling for me was to go back and give back, and search around and, let people know that, there is a path to get there. But if you're not focused in that path and trying to get there, it's going to go sideways. So my biggest thing was going back and open up to the state of New Jersey, Bayonne. I was at Roselle, Marist High School, and passing it on, passing along, letting people know that, I'm a witness to this. You know what I'm saying? I don't got to show you my Rose Bowl ring. I don't got to show you the Peach Bowl rings and stuff like that. Those are the small things. The thing is the preparation to get there. So if
Right.
you're not focusing and not listening and trying to take what I'm feeding you, it's not going to happen.
Wow. That's a lot all by itself, man.
Yeah.
The testimony. The testimony of it all. You know what I mean? This thing is a journey. Like you said, it's definitely a journey. And it's funny, Bernie Wyatt actually was my recruiting coach. Mm-hmm. Recruited everybody in Jersey. You know what I mean? Like he was the guy. Yeah, it's interesting. But those between Iowa and what was your second choice? If it wasn't Iowa, you said between Iowa and Tennessee. So I guess I'll be asking.
Well, as you know, I visited Iowa, West Virginia, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Syracuse. Never been to Hawaii before, so I flew out to Hawaii, and USC. Back in the day, you can take all these trips like you can't do right now. So I took a lot of trips, and knowing Tony Dorsett, meeting Tony Dorsett at Pittsburgh, when Tony Dorsett called me on the phone, I was all in. All in. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But then just when that happened, like 2 weeks later, Johnny Majors takes the job in Tennessee. Right. So I remember Tony calling me and I'm like, well, what's going on? He says, I'll meet you down in Tennessee. I'm like, okay, but you a Pittsburgh dude, Tony. He said, but Johnny's my guy.
Right.
So I went down there, but that was my second. Was he gonna be Tennessee?
Got you. Yeah. Well, that's what got me to Pitt was Dorsett my freshman year. Because that's my guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you were a tailback back then, it was
Tony
all about
Dorsett. Yeah.
No
brainer.
Yeah, that's what it was. So I have a few more minutes, but I want to segue into this. Mm-hmm. Kids that you see right now that's playing this game and the understanding of what we're talking about right now, the give back, but the discipline it takes to get to the next level. Are you seeing that our young people are doing the right things to do that, or could they do more?
They can do more. I believe they can do more. As you know, back in the day, we didn't have all these facilities that they got out here now to get prepared to play. They're not taking advantage of a lot of that. I'll give you a prime example, and I hate talking about any player that I ever coached, but I'm gonna give you one. Kenny Britt. Yes. His dedication was off the chart. The things he did to prepare was unreal. He was a freak of nature, number one, but he worked out. Some kids go, shy away from that, wanting to be great. See, he wanted to be great. He wanted to be good. And you can see it in him because he never shied of working out. If I say, Kenny, do this, Kenny did this. Kenny ran track. He knew what it took, but he listened. That's that give back part. He listened to the part that what it takes to get to that next level. And as you know, what happened to his career after that. But he's just one of the examples that listens. Now, a lot of people don't listen. A lot of people figure they got, this, I'm gifted, because I'm having success in high school, and, they figure, well, I had a good game against this team or that team. And it's you and I both know it's more than that.
It's more than that.
More than
Absolutely.
that. Absolutely. And sometimes you can tell, teaching or coaching and telling somebody what to do to get better because you've been on that path that they're trying to get on. There's always that alter ego they got, there's like, no, I can do it this way. And that's fine if it's going to work for you. But I can tell you this, that 8 out of 10 of them, it don't work for.
You know it. You know it. And then I think that's the contributing factor when young people don't understand that. They don't put the work ethic into, just because you have a skill set, that's one thing. But if you
Right,
don't have the discipline and the work ethic to go with the skills,
right,
it's not going to equal anything, like you just said. That's
right.
the reason, man. Listen, being, like I said, the great player that you were, getting to the levels that you've gotten to, that pales in comparison to the fact that you have such a heart to give back. Because unfortunately, a lot of, when we get out of this sport, a lot of us unfortunately don't reach back, and they think like, I got mine, I'm gonna move on to the next level and just keep it moving. And like I said, brother, I've always appreciated you for that, because there's never a time, if I call you, you always answer.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
I appreciate that, because I know you busy. I know you don't have to answer, but you do, even for this interview.
right.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. You know what I mean? I appreciate that. But it just goes to show you, for all my West Virginia fans, Dwayne played at Iowa, but the connection is Jersey.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? That bond is something that's real important, man. In closing, could you speak to that real quick about how important it is to be the whole teammate thing, and the things you learn from playing football, you know?
Well, I'm gonna say this to your West Virginia fans: had Nick Saban not took me up in that up on that sky thing, I might have been I might have been a Mountaineer. And that's something that that's something that he remembers to today. Because me and him had a conversation, I want to say about a year ago. And he said,
Right.
I told him, you're the reason why I didn't go to West Virginia. You know that, right?
See?
But getting back on what you said, it's, Gene, it's who we are. I mean, at the end of the day, it's who we are. Giving back and wanting to see the next person in New Jersey do better than you, is what it's all about. It's always, passing it on, and you want to hope that the next person passes it on too. Because at the end of the day, all we got is us. All we got is us. And there's enough of us out here that if you want to know how to get there, pick up the phone. You're gonna pick up your phone. I'm gonna pick up my phone. Dane is gonna pick up his phone. Kenny's gonna pick up his phone. Walker Ashley's gonna pick up his phone. Lou King's gonna pick up his phone. I can go on and on with those guys. It's not like they're not gonna pick up their phone. If you really, really want to know, if you really want to get that navigation system going, pick up the phone. I mean, don't be scared to, don't think that you're that good, to where someone done this before you. Like before me, somebody did this before me. There was a prime example, a guy named Gary Dambach who played for Bayonne in the early 70s. Now, nobody heard of him. And he played for Bayonne, and I remember going to have an interview in Iowa, and they asked me who was the best two players I ever seen play. And I told them Tony Dorsett and Gary Dambach. So they told me, we know Tony Dorsett, but we don't know who Gary Dambach is. But see, Gary Dambach is one of those guys from Bayonne who I watched, and he was a guy that I knew that I wanted to be like that. I wanted to pattern my game around him because he played a lot like McCaffrey, who plays now. But I wanted to pattern my game around him. And, like I said, there's all angles out there for the younger people to reach out and understand what it takes to get to that next level, Gene.
Wow. Hey, man, I appreciate you, D. I
No
really
doubt.
do.
I appreciate you.
Thank you for taking the time, brother, and jumping on my show, man. It means a lot.
Hey, anytime, Gene, you know that.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you, my Mountaineer fans? So you kind of heard the little quick funny stories about Coach Saban. And dang it, had Coach Saban not put him on that PRT, maybe he didn't know he was afraid of heights. He probably would have been donning the gold and blue at WVU. But it is what it is. He went on to Iowa and he had a really good career there. And as you heard some of the stories and some of the things we discussed about the importance of teamwork and giving back and working together, the camaraderie of being a good football player along with your team, all that good stuff. And Dwayne Williams is one of the best examples of what it means to give back. He's a great guy, and I'm so glad he was on my show. So until next week, my Mountaineer fans, I got a jewel for you next week. I got a surprise for you, and I look forward to it. So make sure that you tune in, and I'll talk to you soon. Let's go Mountaineers.